One. All right, everybody. It was a fun night with a lot of surprises, but the 93rd Academy Awards just signed off, and we have a lot to reflect on. And I am so happy to once again, for the first time having a guest go on back-to-back shows, we have Mike Guimond, the host of the Amazing Marvel podcast, to react to the crazy night of Oscars. What's up, Mike? Glad to have you back.
Good to be back, just hanging out. I really enjoyed the show. It's kind of like one of my, I don't want to say my first time watching in full, but definitely I haven't watched it in full in a while, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah. That's why don't we walk into that. Just walk me through just your initial thoughts of the entire event. Obviously, different than years past. We know why. Doing it at a trade station instead of a theater, and having each country represented to where they're from, whether it was all the people in France or the UK, Sweden, I think was featured there, Australia. Changing up the categories and stuff like that, putting certain ones at first and others. It's a very non-traditional year for the Oscars, but still it was nice to see people get the gold statue. But tell me, what are your initial thoughts of the event as a whole?
Well, as a whole, I mean, I definitely, like you were saying before, like I definitely thought it was different from years past. But I really liked how there's like between everybody, and I know I've seen this before too. It's nice that everybody has a nice rapport with each other, and everything's very formal, but also like kind of fun too. So it was a good show. It was nice, and everybody really made the most of the situation, especially after everything we've been through this year. So yeah, I mean, I was very excited to kind of see like a lot of the films that I enjoyed get recognition, and a lot of the people involved get the recognition they deserve too.
Yeah, big point there. I think a lot of mainstream movies, a lot of movies that we all happen to see, besides the pretentious movies that are hard to come by or go to watch the indie flicks wherever. It's nice to have so much access to watch these movies now. I think almost every film was on. Just about a majority of all the big films were on a streaming service, the Hulu's, the Netflix, Amazon Primes. Then, I mean, you can still access those other movies as well. Like you have to pay a price to it if you like I had to give Minari, and I rented it from YouTube for 48 hours, but at an affordable price, no complaints there. So I think it is cool too that they are able to have so many people watch.
Right.
And what you also think of this is, the interactions were funny, no host again, but going around, and I do think there's some funny viral moments. I think seeing Glenn Close break it down is an image I'm not gonna get out of my head for a long time. It was hilarious with Lil Ray Howard.
There was a moment where I was laying in bed, and of course I crashed like during a brief moment of the show, just because I was like so tired. But no, I mean, what was it? I'm trying to think of like one moment that I really liked. I mean, I like the opening for sure, where Regina King is just walking into the whole show. It's very, I mean, like she said, she described it as a very cinematic experience in and of itself. She
That was
walks
nice.
in. Yeah, there's a whole like, with it's following her walking in, and I thought that was a really cool opening. And of course, like like we were talking about the train station, like I think the venue was perfect. It was really cool. So
Well, when you go out west, you have to find that train station. You could say you were at all the places all these people were standing, and legends
yeah.
and big deals in Hollywood, as you will be a part of them soon as well. So while we hit on some of the awards, all right, Mike, I feel like there's been a lot of surprises with the choices we picked. And not only the people, of course, you can't make them perfect, but I think, we saw that we talked about how Nomadland was going to get honored, and it did do really well. We talked about Judas getting some recognition. How about also like The Father really stacked up some big awards, and we're going to go off of our initial picks already. So we'll hit it we'll hit it then when we hit the different awards. But
Yeah.
how do you feel as a whole with the decisions of the winners or not? Like, I do think everyone here is deserving, but I was surprised with you know, some of the picks initially. But
Yeah.
I think a lot of like it's different. So some pleasantly surprised, some I guess question, and though deserving, I still think there's some people more deserving than others. But still, it's
Right.
I found the winners here much different than I thought. But what
Yeah.
do you think initially from all the picks?
Well, initially for me, like I mean, the ones that we discussed, wasn't expecting the father to win much, if anything at all. Like I thought it was good and I thought it was creative, but it wasn't a film that overall resonated with me. I mean, of course, I know that it's definitely there's a matter of opinion across the board. But the thing is, I like I said, I thought the father did something really creative, especially focusing on um, a character with dementia or Alzheimer. I heard Alzheimer's. I thought it was dementia, but
Mhm.
I really liked the way that they captured that. But overall, it was like when I watched it, like I said, it was a very depressing movie to me.
Yeah.
Which I mean, of course, a situation like that, it's bound to be depressing. Um, but yeah, definitely. I mean, and like I said, Anthony Hopkins, when I was talking about it, I thought that he was playing a role that I feel like I've seen him play before. It just didn't
Mhm.
seem that like unique to me, which I mean, he did great, but at the same time, it just didn't seem like anything, that stood out to me. But I mean, I definitely still, for what it's worth, it's good that it got the wins that it did.
Right.
Um, there are also like different stories, like for example, like it's with screenplay. I honestly was thinking Sound of Metal was just as authentic as Promising Young Woman. But they both did pretty daring things, and I feel like they were both kind of equally, worthy of that award. So, but I'm glad at least one of them got it.
Definitely.
Yeah. So those are just a
Yeah.
couple examples, but
Of course, of course. And yeah, once we hit on the award, the each award, definitely would love to hear your elaboration on that stuff. And
right.
one
Yeah.
thing like to hit on first, like best documentary feature. I was so sure that Crip Cat was taking it,
Yeah.
but it turned out a movie about a diver hanging out with an octopus wins
Yeah.
it all. And yeah, I haven't seen that. It is on Netflix if you want to watch it. It's a quick watch too, at only 85 minutes. And
Yeah.
I thought just, you know, Riz Ahmed said at one point the special movies are the ones that make you feel, and Croquet really made me feel as a doc. But was it in the cars that night? It's still congratulations to Mr. My Octopus Teacher. I'm
Mhm.
gonna see what's good with that. But still, highly recommend Crip Camp. I cannot emphasize on that more. So, what are the other things we talked about? The cinematography. We, you and I both thought Nomadland was going to be popular in this, but
Yeah.
a movie that you were very fond of in Mank wound up
Yeah.
taking it with Eric Messerschmidt.
Right.
Talk about me about how Mank winning, and why do you think they got it?
Well, honestly, like I thought, like I said before, that it was a very like niche movie, and I feel like I don't know how they typically, the Academy really recognizes certain things. I
Mhm.
would have thought that would have been like when it comes to general audiences, it probably wouldn't be the biggest appeal. But between like, for example, I thought because the period pieces are so like I don't know that it's a challenge to do something like
Yeah,
that. I mean, not really a challenge because I mean you're taking qualities from the past and that's what informs the way you make it. Make the film. But I honestly thought like I'm glad like for example Ma Rainey took the makeup and
yes,
hairstyles and costumes too. That definitely reflects well on a period piece. But and also sound design. Like I really thought Mank had some good sound design, but I knew for example that Sound of Metal was definitely going to take that because it did some pretty daring things, especially in the realm of the story. But definitely cinematography. I'm glad that Mank took at least one win home for that. because I really the cinematography, dating back to that time period in which it's from, and again, like alluding to a lot of shots that, in a lot of the same way, almost like Citizen Kane was filmed. I really think that those were nice callbacks the way it was filmed. So yeah, I'm definitely glad that Mank took that award, at least one. I wasn't sure if it was going to win any, but I'm very glad that it won that one.
I feel Mank's big strength was the cinematography and the production design, which it did take tonight, the production
Yeah,
design award, and it made you feel like you were the, early 40s with that. And a guy, it makes sense why they won. And still,
yeah,
the other film, that was a very popular category, especially Nomad Land. I thought it was taking it, but shouts to Mank. It's honestly a pleasant surprise. We go
yeah,
to the adapted screenplay. I thought Borat, it was Borat's year. Not the case.
yeah,
The father takes it.
yeah,
Again, we talked about this very sad and depressing movie with great character development and also with great character development and you know, I will say it felt boring sometimes, but I did like some of the witty dialogue with that, and he can't get it wrong with the amazing performances in it.
yeah.
Um, do you feel this is appropriate? I'm sorry, I can't remember. Who did you pick for this?
I'm actually drawing a blank on it
Okay.
too. I think
I
uh
think it's Nomad. I'm 99% sure it's Nomadland.
I think so too. Yeah, I think that was something that I had also picked. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I kind of get it though. I mean, I don't know that it was just like the adapted screenplay one was weird for me because I definitely think that there wasn't a lot of depth for me, not as much depth as the other films that were nominated for. The Father had what it had going for it, but to me, I feel like didn't have enough for me to feel like that win was like. I mean, of course, it did. Like I said, it did well and it played to its strengths, but at the same time, it wasn't. There was a lot more going on in all the other nominees that I kind of expected something else to take it, but yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty solid ways to think of it too. And it seems this was a very Oscar baity movie.
right,
We hit those special emotions, family, all that. Um, and well, awards for them. And then when we look at
yeah,
the original screenplay, where I thought Judas of the Black Messiah was taking it, and you were interested with how Sound and Metal, but
yeah,
Promising Young Woman was great. Emma Fennell's also tour de force and very women, strong women characters. And again, as I told you, this movie really any guy shows guys have to be gentlemen, especially their dating life. I think that's
yeah.
one thing here. And this is another pleasant surprise I was happy to see here. How do you think how do you feel about this win?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, I feel like Sound of Metal and Promising Young Woman were both like authentic in the way they're both stories that were things that I had never seen. I think my guess for what would win original screenplay, I'm pretty sure was actually Trial. Um,
Oh yes,
but
that's right.
but to me, like I think back on that now, it's like I mean, and same thing goes. I mean, it really depends on how you portray it, but like I mean, to some degree, when you really think about it, when your story is like surrounded by events in history, it's like a historical fiction. It's not to some extent, it's not. It takes away from its originality
Yes.
because I mean,
You
not
know
to
what
say that it's
happens.
not right, exactly, and it's not to say that it's not original, but it's a little bit less than. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So but yeah, I mean, definitely Promising Young Woman, and like I said, Sound of Metal too. Both did pretty daring things that I had never seen before in a story. So I was hoping that either one of those would win when the time came, and I'm glad Promising Young Woman took it.
Hmm. Good. And we cross over to the acting categories. Supporting actress Yeon Yoo Jung wins Minari playing Sunja.
Mhm.
As I talked about, I thought Maria Bakalova was gonna win, playing Tudor, second DF.
Yeah.
And then but I believe you might have said it, yeah, Amanda Seyfried for Mank.
Yeah, I
It
did.
was A+ on the Cosmo Fashion app, which was her cherry red dress too. And this again, we could go on all day with pleasantly surprised, but this one was really seemed the most authentic for um what was being presented here. I think she specifically really blended into her character so well. So it was
Yeah.
very funny in the movie. She
Right,
was
exactly.
very captivating with it. I think Yu Yoon Yu Jung, excuse me, I apologize for mispronouncing Yoon Ya Jung. Anyway, Sunja, the woman who plays Sunja, was incredible with it. Do you have any thoughts or comments with her in particular?
Yeah, honestly, like, looking back at it now, watching Minari, like she was definitely, there was a lot of fluctuation. Like she was very good comedic relief.
Mhm.
She was a nice like mix. Like I don't want to say she was like a wrench thrown into the family, but like they're trying to like acclimate to, this new environment that they're in. And she
Yes.
definitely comes in and she's the very, she's a former like she's a, generation before. She comes from, I'm pretty sure did she come from Korea?
Yes.
To Okay, yeah, so she had come there to stay with them. And then of course, then, I don't want to spoil too much, but something happens with her that kind of shifts things a little bit.
Mhm.
And then, again, we're taking in consideration that she's a little bit older. So but it definitely like it seems like it's a roller coaster, especially with the family having to deal with all the stuff that they have to deal with. So it's definitely her performance and her presence in the story
Mhm.
definitely really, changes the trajectory of things a lot. So I see where, the Academy recognized that and gave her the win for that one.
Absolutely, and very much shouts to her. Very happy for her. Now with the supporting actor, I were big Lakeith Stanfield fans in this, but his co-star Daniel Kaluuya, which is definitely not a disappointment. Him as Fred
Right.
Hampton
Yeah.
wins him an Oscar. It was great to see this rising star hit a huge moment for him. And
Yeah.
playing powerfully Fred Hampton moved the movie along, and someone you just learned to admire throughout. How do we feel about Daniel Kaluuya winning it? Very big
That's the
deal.
thing too. It was tough. That one was really tough because I was definitely torn between the two of them. I thought that Lakeith Stanfield, I thought that he delivered, like I said, it was kind of like acting within acting, kind
Oh
of.
yeah.
But at the end of the day, his character, I mean, granted, the situation that he was in, it was kind of almost like he was trapped in the situation. And they even talk about this having to betray, who you are in some way. And given the situation he found himself in, that's what he did. And I thought that really played to his strengths as an actor. But ultimately, Daniel Kaluuya's Fred Hampton was ultimately, to me anyway, I feel like a more sympathetic character. I feel like the audience, I mean, not to mention that well, all the characters in this movie are very grounded in history, but his portrayal of Fred Hampton and everything that happens in the film, I definitely agree with this choice for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now we have going to this best actress. I said Viola Davis, but wanted to be surprised with Frances McDermott winning. And she has number 3 tied with the great Meryl Streep. And I believe, can you just remind us who you picked as well? Was it Frances?
I think it was,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And that's the thing too. It's like I honestly, I think with her performance, I just like, again, it lent its, like, with everything that was going on in Nomadland. I think that, again, her performance along with everything else made it feel like, like I said, I thought I was almost watching like a documentary. It felt very real and very raw to me. And I think that just like, the way it's filmed and everything else, performances definitely go hand in hand with that. And Frances McDermott did a really good job at keeping things like as real as possible to me
Great
anyway.
pacing.
So yeah.
Yeah. You can't, she brings us to her most vulnerable points of her character, and then the achievements for what she had. And Homeland, very powerful movie. And you could only go as far as your best actor's performance. Sorry, I should say your lead actor's performance. And that's what happens with her powerful legendary stuff. Is she was number 3, as she won also as a producer, so she takes home 2 statues. And I mean, everyone, I mean, how can you not love her? She's married to one of the Coen brothers. And I mean, the amount of gold they all could share, that must be one awesome trophy case in the
Yeah.
living room there. I mean, I was really happy to see. I was really thrilled. People really love and respect, really admire someone like a Meryl Streep. But she's right in that tier. And I mean, literally the numbers speak for itself now with the
Yeah.
3 statues each. And I thought it was awesome. Really, really awesome. And then you have, I think this was a bit of a shock, but no problem at all, to honor, one of the best to do it, with Anthony Hopkins winning a second Oscar. And he wins the Oscar playing Anthony in The Father. No
Yeah.
Oscar for Riz Ahmed here. No Chadwick Boseman, who is a huge favorite coming in, or
Yeah.
Stephen Yeun as well. Talk to me about seeing Anthony Hopkins awkward winning. And it was a great win. It just ended awkwardly because he wasn't there, and then the show just ended. But
Right.
how do you feel about Anthony Hopkins winning?
Well, see, that's the thing. For me, again, a lot of the predictions that I made were definitely like, thinking back, especially since I don't usually I haven't really made predictions for the Oscars in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I try to look for things that really stand out to me. And Riz Ahmed's performance, especially given like I said, the unique story, the situation that he finds himself in as a metal musician who goes deaf. It's like two very like crazy things that you put together. It's like, what's going to happen with that? Whereas, and that was an interesting, situation to watch unfold because it was so unique. But with Anthony Hopkins and the role that he was in, it just, like I said before, it seemed very, very familiar to me. Like, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I've seen him play someone very neurotic before. And it kind of fell to me into something that, like, I'm watching him and I'm like, this is great. I love this. But at the same time, it just seems all too familiar to me. And I kind of had wished that they went with Riz Ahmed instead, because it was just such a we see like the depth and the breadth, like, of how, and like overall the range of Riz Ahmed. And it just seems like with Anthony Hopkins this time around, it didn't seem like, it just seemed all too familiar for me. So I
I
kind of
def
wish Riz Ahmed had taken it, but
I would agree with you. You said everything I said. I was thinking in better terms. And I thought Riz Ahmed's character was gonna be special, was gonna be especially recognized. But we'll never forget this great performance. And I was
right.
really wanted to see Chadwick Boseman win a posthumous Oscar, but
Yeah.
and a lot of people thought he would, and turns out it wasn't the case. But his legend lives on. And doing that great performance while battling cancer too, I think that adds to it. But
Yeah.
again, it'll just keep his legacy intact. I think Riz Ahmed will be back in this category someday soon, because he's so talented. I mean, you heard his voice when he was presenting
Yeah.
awards today, and his American voice, the specific young American voice, it just shows how great he is. And started one of my favorite actors too. And we really far. Have you seen Nightcrawler?
Yes. I
Yes.
love it.
See,
So good. Yeah.
after his character gets screwed over the worst way by Jake Gyllenhaal, no
Yeah.
spoilers there. It's nice to see him keep going into something legit.
He was also in Venom. So
Yes, exactly.
yeah.
And
He's been in everything I really like. So that's good.
and hopefully we keep continuing to see him. And the
Yeah.
last big award, I mean, Best Picture. No surprise here, as
Yeah.
we or I should well first sorry. Well, first before that, another great no surprise here. Also, when we talked about Best Director, we had Chloe Zhao went for Nomadland again,
Hmm.
just getting so many great performances out of her actors. The stunning cinematography she made help make decisions for it to put together, and then the cinematographer put to work there. Um, Great soundtrack, great great everything. I mean, it was nice to see some more history made for Miss Zhao before she
Hmm.
even more cloud as she enters the MCU.
Yeah.
Um how do we feel about this?
I mean, I'm 100% with it. I believe I don't remember exactly. Um, I don't remember exactly all my predictions, but I think that was definitely, I knew that was probably going to take home quite a bit just because, like, again, it's it's a story, but it's done so well, filmed so well that it makes me almost believe it's like a documentary, and that of course requires multiple facets of the film to be handled in such a way that it feels that way to the person watching it. So I definitely agree with Nomadland taking everything it took home.
Absolutely. And then perfect transition into that is Nomadland wins Best Picture. So
Yeah,
I'm excited to see now that it gets some more recognition. And what Francis McDermott said is make sure next time, as soon as you can, watch the movie and the biggest screen possible. And I watched it on my TV here at home, but I mean,
yeah,
she's right. I mean, it was even mostly be absolutely more spectacular to watch it on a 90-foot screen and getting all those sound throws and just the lush filtration and everything stunning, as you mentioned. Also, just again, the cinematography's um groundbreaking in this. So Nomadland winning it, people talking about it. Hulu again, back-to-back years having one of their movies win the best picture as well. How do we feel about this access now? Nomadland. I mean, if is there anything else you want to add to this movie that you haven't said already?
not really. I mean, it's just it to me. When it comes to movies that are like trying to do something daring and something like new and exciting, like I mean, and who's to say it hasn't been done before? But like, when movies are as daring with their stories as Sound of Metal was, or like, was made out to be as real as possible and as authentic as possible, like Nomadland. Um, it's no wonder you see these movies get nominated for what they do. So, I mean, again, Nomadland was definitely an experience that um that felt very like not you're watching something on a like a movie. It really pulls you in and makes you look like you're just looking through a window into reality. So, and reality, the story following you know someone living the life of a nomad. So yeah, I definitely think that it stands out in that way.
Absolutely. I mean, no bummed out, no best picture win for Sound of Metal. I mean,
Yeah.
again, that movie just really made me feel the most. This is a very close second with Nomadland. And, as the years go by, I do think these are the two movies that will especially stick out
Right.
from this great year of movies. And, yeah, Sound of Metal, though, I think for just how groundbreaking, as you said, with all production values and all aspects to tell an incredible tale of triumph through tragedy.
Yeah.
Nothing beats it. And it's at the end of the day, we love movies and they're here to stay. And yeah, like she said, let's try to get it back to see these great movies in theaters too. I mean, Godzilla versus King Kong was the first real exciting box office numbers there. We could only go up from there. So
Yeah.
um shouts to Nomadland though. See it on Hulu, everybody. And just a few more things to reflect on. What do you think was the biggest snub slash disappointing moment? Was there, whether it was the best picture winner or best sound design or whatever? What do you think was the biggest snub which would have been the biggest disappointing moment for tonight?
Well, for me anyway, I really hoped that that Sound of Metal would have taken more with it. Uh then I mean, I knew I had a very strong feeling that it was going to take sound, and I'm glad that it did. I'm very glad that it took sound
Mhm.
because that's a big part of a movie like this. Is like the story is all about being able to hear, and it's about at one point he's making music, he's drumming, and they're in a band, so it's like that's a very crucial part, and I'm very glad that it won that. But I feel like it definitely deserved a lot more than just that win.
Yeah.
Again, the story was very authentic. I feel like it was, like I said, it was just as worthy of original screenplay as Promising Young Woman. So it was kind of just like they're both kind of like meeting face to face, and I feel like either of them could have won that. And I'm glad that Promising Young Woman did, but I also kind of hope Sound of Metal would too. Um, and yeah, I mean, I wish Sound of Metal took home a little more than it did. That's all.
My two biggest snubs include Crip Camp not winning for best documentary. Again, I'm sure the life of people hanging out with octopuses is great. I know there is a value in it. There's research to take in, but Crip Camp was a movie so profound about real issues with a community that needs more recognition to show how awesome they are in overcoming their obstacles to still show their potential in life. And I mean, that was a real bummer to see, but Crip Camp should have won it. I mean,
Yeah.
again, whatever with the octopuses. I mean, I like fried calamari squid. If anything, my one connection there, but Crib Camp is a documentary feature that perfectly illustrates um overcoming life's most unfair triumphs for people. And I hope more people check it out and understand what I'm talking about. And then the one I'm not as butthurt about, but would have been nice if Borat won. I mean, the father, again, I understand. I mean, again, great. I think the performances really pushed it through. That movie was just so sad and boring and long and dragged.
Yeah.
And I just don't see the point of, I mean, congratulations to them for sure. They all deserve it to get that far. But I mean, Borat
Yeah.
is a mockumentary that was able to pull this feed off and has a lot of good things to say. And it had every reason for people to hate it, but they didn't hate a good movie. Maybe because they didn't want to make 9 of these Oscars. I heard it's like hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to make one of them. Maybe it wasn't part of the budget. Um, what do you think was some of the most surprising win or moment you saw? Like for me, again, I mean, talk about my disappointment there with the octopus teacher. But I'd like to also point out one of the biggest surprises was probably the biggest surprise for me was Anthony Hopkins winning Best Actor. Um I really thought, especially obviously we talked about how much we wanted Riz Ahmed or Chadwick to take it. But also
Yeah.
Stephen Yeun had a very big and important role that I think absolutely would have earned him an Oscar. Anthony Hopkins again is a legend, obviously Hannibal Lecter. Um, so great at a lot of things he does, and he's had such a long, profound career. I just
Yeah.
didn't see him winning this coming at all. What's the biggest surprise for you? Is
I'd
the big
say that definitely I agree with that being a big surprise. It just seemed like, again, like Anthony Hopkins, watching him in this role, it just felt like something that I've seen before, because
Mhm.
he plays a character like that in so many of the movies that he's been in. Like, not exactly that character, but in general, like, if it's a very neurotic situation that he's in, dealing with this mental illness at his the character's old age. I Another thing that really, I would say, wasn't really somewhat surprising, more satisfying, and it wasn't it wasn't something that we had really discussed, but I
Mhm.
saw a trailer for I believe it's is it Two Distant Strangers?
The
It
short
was the
film
short.
that won best short
Yeah.
film. That's on Netflix. Yes.
I saw the trailer for it. I'm really like, I think I might have mentioned this. I'm very much into like time loop, time manipulate, so
Yes.
it's a time loop movie, and I honestly really, I have not seen it yet. I had watched the trailer. I'm like, I need to watch this because if it's Oscar nominated, I'm like, I know, I have a feeling that I'm gonna want it to win a lot, and I'm
Mhm.
very glad that it did, because it takes, again, it's one of those daring movies that takes something that's very relevant in what's going on in the world today, and it puts an interesting twist on it. And I definitely want to see, what made that movie so special, especially since even watching the trailer got me extremely excited to see how the movie unfolds. So yeah, I'd say Two Distant. Is it distant or different? I'm not sure. I think it's distant. Two Distant Strangers took the win for short, and I am very excited to watch it now, because I want to see what I think about it, and it just makes me that much more excited to see it, because I haven't yet. So
Yeah, Two Distant Strangers, and you can watch that on
yeah,
Netflix. And yeah, written by a former writer for The Daily Show, and in Trayvon Free and Marty Desmond Rowe, the big career himself. And yeah, I gotta see that too. I will say I wasn't really too familiar with the short film categories in that
yeah,
realm, but now I have, as you said, every reason to check it out. And definitely let us know what you think of it. I'm intrigued to hear it. And again, you can watch it
yeah.
on Netflix. It's only in half an hour, and it has Joey Badass starring in it if you like his music. So check it out. Check it out.
Yeah.
And what was your favorite moment from tonight? What was your favorite moment from the Oscars, Mike?
I'd say definitely. I was very, again. We had talked about this before. I really didn't think. I mean, I was very satisfied to see Sound of Metal win in the sound category. That was one of the ones I was most hopeful for. And if we're talking about both surprising and satisfying, I'm glad Mank took home some wins too. Mank winning cinematography was like something that I wasn't sure of, because again, I thought that the movie was very niche in terms of like, basically being something that a lot of cinephiles probably really admired, like
Yeah.
myself, but not so much overall general audiences like picking up on a lot of things. But I do think that like I really enjoyed the fact that Mank won in that category, because it was just a movie that really just made me feel good watching it, because it's like, oh, this is like really cool, because it made me think of all the things that have to do with, with the film industry, and especially in that time, making that movie that I had seen in film class. Like,
hmm
it's cool that they take that stylistic approach at, when it came to that era. And they even say something about, oh, this movie, in the movie they say, oh, this story, it hops all over the place in time, and that's exactly what this movie does.
hmm
And it's like, it's just very meta, and very, I thought it was very cool, and I'm glad that I wasn't expecting it to take home anything, and I'm glad that it took home at least something. So both The Sound of Metal and Mank, I'm glad that those took it home at least some recognition.
Yeah, I do wonder what the great Robert Kesky of the University of Hartford thinks of this role in any of these. But yeah, I think it was nice to see the right films get that recognized. Probably my personal favorite moment. Um, next to seeing the stuff that Tyler Perry. I liked his story winning that humanitarian award. I really liked seeing uh Nomadland, probably the best film to hit all the aspects of filmmaking. Take it. I was happy to see it, even though I wanted Sound of Metal a little more. I was still
Yeah,
happy to see that. It's probably my favorite moment. It made sense, and a nice win for great female filmmakers. For a very moving story, and it was a lot of fun. And then probably seeing Daniel Kaluuya, who's been turning into one of my favorite actors, win his Oscar. That was a
yeah,
cool moment. Also, like seeing Soul win. That was nice. And another one for Pixar. And yeah, I think it was fun. The opening was very chilling, with Regina King walking down the halls to get into the Oscars and start the show off right. And all in all, it was just a nice win for Oscars. I understand some people call it pretentious and people make us criticisms for us, the Oscar culture, whether it's some people don't really want people talk about politics or bringing up things or bringing up awareness or activism. Well, I think it's fine. Let them do what they want on their platforms. They earned for it, and they should be listened out on very real issues. And I also understand the people who just get bored with the whatever ceremony. But I think it was nice to see a lot of hard people working get recognized, the recognitions they deserve. Another
Yeah.
example of people getting inspired to keep moving forward with their careers in show business, that everyone deserves a shot to get in. And I just think it was a nice, relaxing night with a revamped original idea, especially honoring more people of color and honoring more people's stories to finally get heard. I think the Oscars were fine, more than fine. I think it was a good Oscar ceremony. I think it was fun. And
Yeah.
now, as the movie theaters get back moving, we have more movies coming out, more chances to get on set. It's going to be interesting to see where we're at a year from now. And I can't wait to
Yeah.
talk about the 2021, 22 Oscars with you, Mike. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
check out all these movies, whether on Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, or pay the small fee to rent some of them. It's worth it. And it shows that even in this dark year that we had to experience, there's some great art out there and great movies and stories for people to enjoy to distract you from this crazy world and help you overcome the problems within it. So great job,
Yeah.
Oscars. Great job, Mike. Is there anything else you want to say before we go?
Well, I do want to say that I'm very grateful like to you, honestly, because me personally, like I said, I have never been. I mean, I every once in a while I tune in for the Oscars, but I've never really immersed myself in the award show as much as I have this year. Like it was a very sudden thing, but it's nice because it opens my mind up to a lot more that I wouldn't normally be taking in. And I want to thank you for like giving me this opportunity to be on and just talk about stuff, because it gets, again, like the conversations we're having are getting my gears turning, and they really, it's kind of just evolving everything in my head in terms of what I understand about film, and what these films that I watched that I've watched for in preparation for the Oscars, and just how I can turn back to them and watch them again and again, just to get an idea of what inspires me as a filmmaker. So I just want to say thank you, because it definitely really had me step out of my comfort zone a little bit, looking at these movies and talking about them. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for the kind words, Mike. And I couldn't do it
Yeah.
without you. And I'm glad you're getting out of your shadow, because you're a talented young man, and it's time to keep showing off your talents. And thank you for making this possible. And the conversation continues. Just now, time to start watching to look out for the next Oscar season. And just talking about big releases as we're all coming back to the theaters. We're all can hang out in people's homes to watch movies again. The people could do their Netflix and chilling for the time slot they watch it before they go to the chilling part. It's great to have our movies back and have our movies get us through the most difficult time period of our generation's lifetimes, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, understand that's a statement, but it's great. That's the point of movies. That's the point of the Productive Conversations podcast, is that we just stay productive in what we do. And I can't wait to talk more movies throughout and TV shows. So we're gonna keep having you on, and like I said, just continue the conversation, talk about this great medium of ours. And definitely once you figure out when you you could come down to Norwalk before you go out west, grab a beer and
Yeah.
watch some movies, movie in Norwalk. And yeah, man, I just appreciate you a lot, Mike. I can't wait
Yeah.
to continue to talk to you in general, and we'll keep the
Likewise, man.
conversation going. So with
Yeah.
that's the great Mike Guimond. Don't forget to check him out, host of the Amazed and Marveled podcast on all podcasted platforms. And you definitely want to hear his review of the ending of Captain and Winter Soldier. I'll let you guys tune in for that. great show. I checked it out. I really was intrigued by it, and
Nice.
I know the other audience will as well. So again,
Yeah.
thank you, Mike. I appreciate you, and thank you all for tuning in. And next year's Oscar season starts right now, so check them out. We'll
Yeah.
see if you know, I don't know what we'll see if Frozen 3 will make its push. So it's gonna be fun. All right, Mike. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you really soon.
Yeah, man. Talk to you soon.